working under an editor, she said the most difficult person that she has ever worked with and the rudest person that she had ever worked with was Blake Lively.
The retaliation campaign relied on more than just publicists and crisis managers spinning stories. They also retained subcontractors.
Lively's complaint accuses Baldoni, who is also the film's director, of creating a hostile work environment and trying to ruin her reputation after she expressed her concern.
Defendant Blake Lively has unequivocally left them with no choice.
Well, while the legal battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively heats up, the Gossip Girl actress has begun to share the toll it's having on her personal life.
Yeah, in an amended complaint to the New York court on Tuesday.
Blake Lively. The name itself conjures a world of red carpets, dazzling smiles, and an aura of effortless achievement. She's ascended to Hollywood royalty, become a celebrated fashion icon, and forms half of one of entertainment's most beloved power couples with Ryan Reynolds. From the outside, it all appears meticulously curated, flawlessly executed. But is that shimmering surface truly impervious? Could it be that beneath the perfectly poised photographs and strategically crafted public persona, there exist moments of vulnerability? Instances where even Blake Lively has faltered, faced the often unforgiving scrutiny of public opinion, and perhaps, just perhaps, found herself on the less triumphant side of the perception battle. We're poised to delve deeper, to peel back the layers of the carefully constructed image and explore those junctures in her career.
A lot of it's my real life clothes or my husband's clothes or my girlfriend Gigi's clothes. I was borrowing some.
Wait, that's kind of amazing. So you have something of Gigi's in the movie.
Yeah, it's like a wedding, like something old, something borrowed, something blue, something new.
Wait, which one? Now I want to think of the scene.
Oh, I'm wearing her stuff all over it.
Oh, really?
Tons of like Bodhi, which is with the suit now that I'm wearing is Bodhi. It was meant for my husband, but I borrowed it.
His suit?
It was meant for him to wear, but it's so pretty. Look at it. You guys are not getting it in the shot.
Let's begin with Preserve, a venture that remains a somewhat perplexing chapter in Blake Lively's narrative. Envisioned as her foray into the burgeoning world of lifestyle curation, it was positioned as a digital haven akin to Goop, promising a collection of artisanal treasures and homespun wisdom. However, instead of resonating with aspirational consumers, Preserve stumbled right out of the gate. Critics were quick to dissect its offerings, finding them exorbitantly priced, strikingly detached from the realities of everyday life, and to be frank, somewhat nebulous in its overall identity. Imagine browsing for a $300 diaper bag or pondering the necessity of $40 artisanal jams. The disconnect with the broader audience became immediately apparent. The prevailing public sentiment swiftly shifted towards viewing Preserve not as a genuine platform for sharing authentic living, but rather as a celebrity-endorsed exercise in peddling an unattainable lifestyle to the masses. This ambitious project rapidly morphed into an awkward and somewhat embarrassing episode, prompting many to question if Lively had fundamentally misjudged both her target demographic and the prevailing market trends. But this initial foray into the business world was far from her only navigation of potentially treacherous waters.
But I was like just tracking him down, and then I finally got to read the script, and the script was a thriller. So that was a little confusing to me because he's like such a funny director.
Yeah.
And so I said, what is this? Because the script is definitely like a twisting, turning, intense thriller. Is it a comedy or a thriller? And he said, yes. So then every day on set, I was like, is today a comedy or is it a thriller?
It's a good mix.
And it's like, it's like really kind of over the top and campy and trashy and fun and like, kind of like my outfit, I guess.
Then we arrive at the Met Gala incident, a moment that undeniably arched eyebrows across the fashion and celebrity spheres. The Met Gala, a pinnacle of the fashion calendar, a night where artistic expression and haute couture take center stage. Blake Lively graced the red carpet in a breathtaking crimson gown, exquisitely embroidered with the phrase, "All my best." Visually stunning, undeniably, yet astute observers almost instantly recognized the subtle or perhaps not so subtle brand association. All My Best mirrored the name of her husband Ryan Reynolds' gin enterprise, Aviation Gin. Suddenly, what initially appeared as a personal, perhaps even sentimental detail began to feel suspiciously like a calculated advertisement infiltrating one of the most exclusive and meticulously curated red carpet events globally. The ensuing public reaction was swift and decidedly negative. Accusations of opportunism and exploiting a philanthropic occasion for personal commercial gain rapidly circulated. This incident became a textbook illustration of how even a seemingly innocuous gesture could be readily misconstrued as a significant public relations miscalculation, a juncture where the boundaries between celebrity persona and brand endorsement blurred to a degree that left a considerable segment of the public feeling uneasy. And moving from fashion faux pas to far more sensitive territory, we must address a period of intense scrutiny surrounding past associations.
It's a bit of a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much. But we're thinking of keeping her.
Does she like play with her? What does she think?
Well, she sort of like pretends to play with her. So like in the beginning, our oldest is like loving on her, and she's like very maternal, and then our middle daughter is just keeps away from her.
Venturing into far more sensitive terrain, we confront the complex and ethically charged issue of Blake Lively's past associations with Woody Allen. Amidst the renewed and intensely amplified scrutiny surrounding the decades-old allegations against the director, allegations of a profoundly serious nature, Lively found herself enveloped in controversy due to previous public statements defending Allen. In past interviews and press engagements, she had spoken favorably about collaborating with Allen, with her remarks often interpreted as downplaying or even dismissing the gravity of the accusations leveled against him. In the climate of the burgeoning #MeToo movement, a social and cultural reckoning with issues of sexual harassment and abuse, this particular stance ignited immediate and vehement condemnation. Social media platforms transformed into a virtual courtroom, with scores of users accusing her of insensitivity, a lack of awareness, and a tone-deaf approach to a deeply impactful movement. The resulting backlash was not only widespread, but intensely personal, serving as a stark reminder of the heightened accountability now placed upon public figures regarding their words and actions, especially when they intersect with sensitive and emotionally charged societal dialogues. This period became a moment where her past pronouncements were rigorously re-examined under an unforgiving spotlight, and for a significant portion of the public, the judgment rendered was unfavorable. However, before these larger controversies, even the initial phases of establishing her career involved navigating its own set of pressures.
I think the idea that people think that they know you, I think because of how intrusive media is these days, people care so much more about your personal life than they do your work, and if you aren't open with your personal life, then they just make it up for you and share it for you.
Shifting gears from controversies of a more charged nature, it's important to acknowledge that the path to stardom is rarely devoid of pressure, even in its nascent stages. Consider the casting process for The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, a film that has since solidified its place as a beloved classic, yet in the initial phases of its development, whispers of uncertainty and doubt circulated, particularly concerning Lively's casting. While undeniably possessing talent and screen presence, she was, at that juncture, less established in mainstream consciousness compared to some of her fellow cast members. This dynamic fostered a sense of heightened expectation, a feeling that she needed to demonstrably prove her merit to justify her inclusion alongside actresses like Alexis Bledel and Amber Tamblyn in such a high-profile ensemble-driven project. From the very outset, she was under a degree of scrutiny, tasked with the challenge of winning over both audiences and industry critics who might have initially harbored reservations about her place within this already established constellation of talent. This early career pressure, while less overtly negative than later controversies, functioned as its own kind of trial by fire, a test of her capabilities and resilience that she ultimately navigated with considerable success, albeit under the palpable weight of initial expectation. And speaking of navigating pressure, nothing could have prepared her for the sheer intensity that accompanied her meteoric rise with Gossip Girl.
I mean, I internalized that as opportunity. We had such a responsibility to this audience to deliver something and to have the opportunity to deliver something for a passionate group of people.
Yes.
As someone who is so deeply passionate myself, I was so excited about that. I would so much rather have that than people who are indifferent.
Blasé.
Then came Gossip Girl, the television phenomenon that served as the undeniable catalyst for Blake Lively's ascent into the stratosphere of superstardom. Almost overnight, Blake Lively became ubiquitous. Her image graced countless magazine covers, her every sartorial choice was meticulously analyzed and debated, and her personal life became a constant source of speculation and media fodder. This rapid and dramatic surge to widespread fame while seemingly embodying the glamorous ideal can also be profoundly disorienting and inherently challenging for the individual at its center. The relentless scrutiny, the unremitting pressure to maintain a perpetually flawless public image, the erosion of personal privacy. These factors coalesce into a pressure cooker environment of immense intensity. While she undeniably navigated this period with considerable poise and grace, it's not difficult to imagine how such overwhelming levels of fame could potentially precipitate missteps, moments of feeling utterly overwhelmed, or decisions made under conditions of immense and unrelenting pressure. The sheer magnitude and intensity of the Gossip Girl phenomenon in and of itself constituted a trial of sorts, a demanding test of her resilience, adaptability, and ability to maintain equilibrium under the unwavering and often unforgiving gaze of the global public eye. But even carefully orchestrated moves in the established world of Hollywood carry inherent risks, as evidenced by our final point.
Well, I actually knew of the film before I knew of Colleen's book, which is, I know, a unique entry point, but I think because I just have 1,000 children, I, have missed all of pop culture, and her significant impact in the world of books. I mean, so many of her books are on the New York Times bestseller. I mean, it's crazy.
Finally, let's turn our attention to the marketing campaign orchestrated for A Simple Favor, a film that intentionally embraced a tone of suspense and intrigue. Recall the distinctly unsettling nature of its promotional rollout, the deliberate social media blackout, the enigmatic and cryptic online posts, the pervasive undercurrent of unease that permeated the marketing materials. While this unconventional approach ultimately proved effective in generating buzz and piquing audience curiosity, it undeniably represented a calculated gamble, a departure from more conventional promotional strategies. Consider the potential for misfire. What if audiences had been alienated by the pervasive darkness and ambiguity? What if the unsettling tone had proven off-putting rather than enticing? It was a demonstrably bold move in an industry often characterized by predictable and formulaic movie promotion. While in this particular instance, the calculated risk yielded positive results, it underscores the inherent high-stakes nature of the entertainment industry, where even meticulously planned marketing initiatives can teeter on the precipice of success or failure, and where a single misjudged element in messaging or presentation could potentially derail an entire project's trajectory. This campaign, while ultimately successful, served as a high-wire act, a vivid illustration that even within the meticulously crafted and seemingly controlled realm of Hollywood, the potential for missteps and unintended consequences perpetually lingers.
Colleen, even in her real life, is talking about sadness or pain or trauma. There's also a dry humor and a sense of levity and wit and joy and love.
Thus, when we transcend the surface-level perception of Blake Lively, the dazzling red carpet appearances and meticulously curated magazine spreads, we begin to discern a more nuanced and human portrait of a public figure navigating the multifaceted complexities of fame, entrepreneurial ventures, and the ever-shifting currents of public opinion. Her journey encompasses launched businesses that didn't quite achieve liftoff, periods of intense scrutiny and criticism for certain choices, and the constant negotiation of life lived perpetually under the spotlight's glare. These moments, these perceived mishaps or stumbles in the court of public perception, are not necessarily indicative of failure, but rather offer valuable glimpses behind the carefully polished veneer of celebrity, serving as potent reminders that even individuals elevated to the status of Hollywood royalty remain fundamentally human, and that every career trajectory, regardless of its outward success, inevitably encounters its share of challenges, controversies, and moments subjected to intense public examination. So we pose the question to you: were these instances genuine missteps or simply inevitable facets of a life lived in the relentlessly scrutinizing public eye? Share your perspectives in the comments section below, and if you found this exploration insightful, consider joining the conversation by subscribing and becoming part of our community for more in-depth analyses of the lives and careers that captivate us.